Thank you for joining us today. I'm Anna Ona here at Vixen News. We provide the most in-depth coverage on the most relevant news. We have a special report. It's a chilling story of love, betrayal, murder, and revenge. It appears the Knight Marshal of Spain went on a murderous rampage at the royal wedding. Everyone is asking, how did this happen? And are any of us safe? Allie Porter has the answers on location.
It could happen to anyone. A peaceful wedding turned horrendous massacre. I'm here at the scene of a tragedy, what some are calling the Spanish tragedy. The heir apparents of both Spain and Portugal have been murdered. The chief magistrate of Spain has committed murder-suicide in front of several witnesses, after erratic behavior some are calling madness. The apparently murdered, rotting corpse of his son Horatio has been found on stage. The body shows signs of hanging as well as several stab wounds.
Can you tell us the sequence of events? It all seems jumbled.
It all happened so fast no one is quite sure. It seems that Knight Marshal Geronimo murdered Prince Lorenzo while they were acting in a play. Princess Belle Imperia seems to have murdered Prince Balthazar, then stabbed herself. Geronimo was captured and bit out his own tongue before stabbing the Duke of Castile, then himself.
Did you say he bit out his tongue?
That is correct. He bit out his own tongue before he stabbed Castile and himself.
Do police have any idea who might have been involved, or possible motives?
Earlier, police released details of several pieces of evidence that were found on the body of the Knight Marshal.
What does the evidence tell us?
A letter from Belle Imperia, which appears to have been written in blood, implicates Lorenzo and Prince Balthazar in the murder of Geronimo's son, who was also Belle Imperia's lover.
So you're saying Belle Imperia's lover was Geronimo's murdered son. And did she write the letter in her own blood?
Yes, Horatio was Princess Belle Imperia's lover. My sources have not yet confirmed whether she used her own blood or someone else's to write the letter.
What does the evidence tell us?
A scarf soaked in blood was found near Geronimo's body. It has been sent to the lab for further analysis, but preliminary results show traces of DNA from Geronimo, Horatio, Princess Belle Imperia, and deceased war hero Don Andreas.
Is that the same Don Andreas which radical anti-war groups are using as a rallying point in their protests against the war?
Yes, his face has become a symbol for the protesters. They see him as a young man who is a tragic casualty caused by an inept leadership.
Is there another significant piece of evidence?
Yes, a letter from condemned murderer Pendringano. In the letter, Pendringano makes it clear not only did he murder the servant Serembine, but was also an accomplice to Prince Lorenzo and Prince Balthazar in the murder of Horatio.
Are there any eyewitnesses?
Yes, I'm here with the guards who witnessed the killing. Can you tell us, in your own words, what happened?
We were on duty overtime for the wedding, We were watching the play, but it was crazy. Everyone was speaking different languages. No sense at all. Then Geronimo stabbed Lorenzo, but we all just thought it was the play. But there was blood everywhere. It just steamed. She, the princess, stabs Prince Balthazar and then herself. Geronimo pulled his curtain away, and there was Horatio, dead and rotted. The smell was something else. He said Geronimo said he'd murdered all of them because they murdered Horatio.
And then what happened?
Then the king had us grab Geronimo, and we caught him, but he struggled something fierce. We subdued him for questioning, but he bit off his tongue and spit it at the king's feet. Then he mimed like he wanted a penknife to write the answer, so I handed him one. He grabs it and stabs the duke, then himself. I never seen the like. It was a nightmare. Everyone's dead, then a duke, then Geronimo.
Thank you. For more insight, we turn to psychologist Diane Gibson via satellite. Diane, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Diane, can you tell us what's going on here in Geronimo's mind?
There's a lot of things at play here. First, let's focus on Geronimo. Geronimo spent his life devoted solely to king, justice, and family. Something must have happened to fragment his devotion. Otherwise, he would not have used suicide as a final act of self-assertion, or spit his tongue at the king's feet, which defies the authority of the king even to question him.
What about the letter from Pendringano?
The letter he received from Pendringano could have caused him to realize the inadequacy of the justice system he devoted his life to. This, combined with the murder of his son, could have pushed him close to the breaking point.
Do you think this could have something to do with the alleged murderers being princes?
If his son was in fact murdered by the princes, this would have presented problems his brain could not deal with. The right path to justice through the king would have been unavailable. This lack of justice, which he dedicated his whole life to, would cause a feeling of alienation. it could create a complete schism between his mind and reality.
The play he directed was staged in multiple languages. What do you think this signifies for Hieronymo's mental state?
He was demonstrating feelings of alienation through staging this play in multiple languages. No one could understand each other, just like Hieronymo could no longer understand himself or the world around him.
Thanks, Diane. This is Anna Ona here at Vixen News. Stay tuned for more on the Spanish tragedy. Welcome back to Vixen News. We've been following the story of the Spanish tragedy. It is a horrible massacre that has people all over the country in shock and mourning. For more on Hieronymo's search for justice, we turn to theologian Nick Spencer in New York. Nick, what do these murders tell us about Hieronymo's spiritual state?
Hieronymo's actions represent a spiritual malice and lack of trust in God. His desire for revenge takes him out of the Christian sphere and into a pagan paradigm. His play echoes the story of Babel, and it seems he felt his search for justice was just as futile as building a tower to the heavens.
So you think he felt abandoned by God?
People with strong faith in God don't usually go on murderous rampages. Due to the murder of his son, he seems to have felt betrayed by Christianity itself, so he reached for a justice of a pagan nature. These actions seem to have been committed by a man who was confused about the nature of God's justice.
Nick, some Christian groups are saying that this tragedy is divine retribution for corruption at the Spanish court. How would you respond to that?
Well, we all know that God works in mysterious ways. Basically, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Thank you for your insight, Nick. For political analysis, we turn to Stephen Sunders. Stephen, what do you have to say about the political implications of both Spain and Portugal losing their heirs?
Well, it is ironic that two countries who were at war now share the same fate. For as the king ironically said, Spain is Portugal, and Portugal is Spain. By murdering the heirs apparent of both Spain and Portugal, Hieronymo created a situation that mirrors that of Elizabethan England. The true tragedy is this occurred just as peace was being established.
What about Hieronymo as a political figure?
Well, he created this bloodbath by abandoning his role in the strictly defined legal apparatus and effectually destroying the state he felt betrayed him. Of course, this would never have happened if the king had not been so focused on foreign affairs and been more concerned about ones at home in the domestic area.
Thank you, Stephen. What impact will this tragedy have on the economy? Will there be a recession? For those answers and more on the Spanish tragedy, stay tuned to Vixen News.